Before there were temples, or prayers, or names carved into stone, there was only the age of Titans, ancient, enormous, absolute. They ruled a world still soft at its edges, a world that had not yet decided what it wanted to be. And at the center of that world sat Cronos, king of all Titans, lord of time itself, holding dominion over everything that breathed or grew or moved. But Cronos was afraid. A prophecy had found him, the way prophecies always do, quietly, certainly, like a stone dropped into still water. It told him that one of his own children would rise against him, would tear the throne from his hands, just as he had torn it from his own father before. Cronos had overthrown Uranos. Now fate promised the same violence would find him. So he made a choice that only a desperate mind could justify. When his wife Rhea bore their children, he took each one and swallowed them whole. Hestia, Demeter, Hera, Hades, Poseidon. 5 gods, swallowed before they could ever draw a breath of free air, imprisoned not in stone or chain, but in the body of their own father. Rhea bore the grief of this quietly until she couldn't anymore. When her 6th child came, she wrapped a stone in cloth and handed it to Cronos. He swallowed it without question. The real child, a boy, Zeus, was spirited away to the island of Crete, hidden in a cave on Mount Ida, raised in secret while Cronos sat on his throne, believing himself safe. Zeus grew. He grew in ways Cronos never anticipated, not just in strength, but in cunning, in patience, in purpose. When the time came, he returned not with an army, but with a plan. He gave Cronos a mixture that forced him to do what the sea does with things it cannot hold. One by one, the swallowed gods came back. Poseidon, Hades, Hera, Demeter, Hestia, emerging not as infants, but as fully formed immortals, divine and furious and ready. What followed was a war that lasted 10 years. 10 years of a sky that never settled, of seas that heaved against coasts that no longer held firm, of mountains cracking under the weight of gods throwing their full power against one another. On one side stood the Titans, ancient and vast, the original rulers of this world. On the other stood the Olympians, younger, faster, burning with something the Titans had never quite possessed, the conviction that the world ought to change. Zeus went to Tartarus, the deep prison beneath the earth, and freed the Cyclopes and the 100-handed giants who had been locked away by Cronos. In gratitude, the Cyclopes forged gifts. For Zeus, lightning bolts. For Poseidon, a trident that could shake the foundations of the earth. For Hades, a helmet that swallowed light and made its wearer invisible. These were not just weapons. They were symbols of a new order pressing itself into existence. The final breaking came like a storm that had been building since the first day of the war. Zeus unleashed his lightning without restraint, bolt after bolt splitting the sky. The thunder so vast it became the sound of the world reorganizing itself. The Titans fell. Cronos, who had swallowed time and children and prophecy whole, was defeated at last. The war ended not with silence, but with a settling, the way a shaken thing eventually goes still. The victors divided what they had won. Zeus claimed the sky and everything above, the light, the storms, the sovereignty over gods and mortals alike. Poseidon took the seas, those churning, boundless depths that answered to no coastline. Hades received the underworld, the kingdom beneath all kingdoms, where every soul eventually arrives. The earth itself was left as common ground, belonging to all, and therefore to none alone. And then, rising above the clouds of a world still trembling from 10 years of divine war, Mount Olympus appeared, not just as a mountain, but as a throne, a meeting place, a declaration. The Titans were gone. The old order was finished. The gods had names now, and temples would follow. And mortals would look up at the sky and see not chaos, but a hierarchy, a story they could tell their children about how the world came to be the way it is. The age of the Olympians had begun.